discuss your life insurance or Sagicor Lifestyle Approved Retirement Scheme. The time by Sagicor eConnect is...
It is now 7 a.m., and which means it's time for the Morning Watch with Stokeley Marshall.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live in the first watch today. Energy security in the Caribbean. Are we prepared? And in second watch, the Cybercrimes Amendment Act. For our social media question, we ask, how prepared are you in case Jamaica was to experience an energy crisis? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, good morning, good morning. So today's I quote says, we're not called to figure everything out. Just believe. It's on from Joyce Meyer.
Sounds like faith.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning.
The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
It's the season of Lent, the 40-day period of prayer, fasting, and repentance observed by Christians to mirror the time that Jesus spent in the wilderness and prepare the heart for the celebration of Easter. It's a time for a spiritual reset. Join us for our special Lenten feature, Renewal of the Mind, presented by Love 101 in association with the Escarpment Road New Testament Church of God, in passionate pursuit of the cross. Every day we'll pause to recalibrate our thoughts, find our focus, and fix our eyes on the ultimate sacrifice. Renewal of the Mind, presented by Love 101 in association with the Escarpment Road New Testament Church of God. Daily at 12 p.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm Stokeley Marshall. Energy security in the Caribbean. Are we prepared? We have as our guest this morning to discuss this very important topic, Jason Robinson, Vice President, Renewable Energy Association, CEO, Solar Buzz Jamaica, and David Barrett, Energy Consultant, NBAR Consulting. Jason Robinson, David Barrett, are you with us, sirs?
I am. Good morning.
This is Mr.
Hi, Jason.
This is Mr. Robinson, Jason Robinson. David Barrett, do we have you as well, sir?
Yes. Morning.
Okay. Well, first of all, when we talk...
Morning, Stokeley.
Morning, sirs. Morning, both of you. When we talk about energy security, what exactly do we mean? Because we hear these terms, but we want to make sure we're all on the same page. We could probably start with you, David Barrett. What is energy security?
So, if you use the word security, it's about your personal security, it's about your financial security. There are some dimensions that are similar in energy. So the first thing is that you want to be able to have the type of energy that you need for the purpose. Yeah. So if you need electricity you don't need, a flame. If you need fuel to drive your car.
What's wrong with gaslight?
Sorry?
What's wrong with gaslight? Like back in the 19th
Well,
century,
it
18th
was good a
century.
few centuries ago. But today, I think we prefer to have something that's safe, reliable, predictable. In energy security, then you also need to have price. Yeah. So that if you can't afford it, then it doesn't make you security. So price is a big thing for Jamaica and our electricity cost. You also
Candlelight
want
is cheaper.
Sorry?
Candlelight is sometimes cheaper, isn't it?
Well, this is the target. I think the minister has said that.
I'm just.
It can be. It actually can be.
Yeah.
But a lot depends on the law. It depends on the technology, the sources, etc.
All right, sir.
Of course, you want to make sure that you get in the quantity that you need, right? Because if you want to go to Montego Bay and you have an electric vehicle and you have only 20%, you're not going to make it, right? And you want to also ensure that you have some redundancy. So if one thing doesn't work, we're talking nationally, right? So if one source doesn't give you all that you need when you need it, you should have another source to continue all your functionalities.
So redundancy is similar to having explain redundancy.
No, not explain redundant, but as in something that gives you a backup. Let's use the word backup.
Okay, I thought that's what you meant, but when you said redundancy, I was asking you to break it down for us. Thank you, sir. Okay.
No, that's fine. So that's correct. It's a backup. It's an alternative that chips in when you need it.
All right. Okay.
And then the last one I would say in terms of the scope of energy security would be the availability of your sources. So having the source that you have some control over gives you some security.
I know this might sound like a dumb question, Mr. Barrett, but if my backup is having a kerosene lamp, is that in the same category as redundancy, or that's considered old-fashioned, so that doesn't qualify?
Well, let's say it would be old-fashioned, but if you're in the midst of a hurricane and the electricity is down, perhaps your kerosene lamp may be a good redundancy option. But I think there's some safer options,
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you. Thought I had to get that from you, sir. Jason Robinson, you have anything to add or to, otherwise indicate, sir?
Yes, I think David, did a good explanation. I would say that, we need to be as resilient as possible. The key factor is having our critical loads being able to perform in
critical loads. Mr. Robinson, we don't know what critical loads mean. I think I know, but you tell us, what are critical loads?
Well, your critical loads are going to be the essential appliances, essential things that you need to run should the grid go down for a long period of time. So for instance, your lights in your home, some fans, your cold storage, which is your refrigeration, and these days your internet, so that you can communicate. You want, if you're in a business, it would be your lights, whatever may power your equipment. Hospitals, they're essential equipment, life-saving equipment to keep the patients alive during a prolonged grid outage. So that's what I mean by when I say critical loads, and having those being able to be powered during a prolonged blackout, extensive period of when the grid is down is really what we mean by, to me, energy security and resilience. And I think that's where we need to be going and focusing on when we say energy security.
Well, moving on quickly, we hear a lot of buzzwords like renewables. It sounds so nice. Renewables. But what on earth are renewables? David Barrett, what are renewables, sir? Are you hearing us, sir? Jason Robinson, while we try to get back David Barrett, what are renewables?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Mr. Barrett? Sorry about that, Mr. Robinson. 1 second, sir. Jason, yes, David Barrett. What are renewables? We hear a lot about renewables. What really is that? What really, what are those?
Right. So renewable energy source is one which either is not depleted as you use it. It doesn't, its volume and source doesn't reduce as you use it. And the other general definition would be that you are able to replace the source at a rate, the similar rate or faster rate than how you use it. So, for example, we cannot deplete the sun solar energy. No matter how much solar we put out, we will never deplete the sun source. So that's the first explanation. The second one is if we use biomass, the sugar companies use wood in the earlier stages, and what would be renewable would be that they plant and a number of trees that they would then be able to cut and replace the amount that they're using. So those are examples of renewables. Of course, there's also hydro, right? If you use hydro, rivers and streams at a rate that is faster than rainfall and soak away and so on can regenerate, funny enough, it doesn't become renewable. Yeah. So it means that when they're building hydro plants, they have to do certain calculations, how much is used for social purposes, bathing and so on, how much is used for recreation, swimming and so on, and then how much is used for the hydro. They have to do all of those calculations to keep it as renewable.
Well, you know, David, based on what you just said, we're almost upon a break already, but based on what you just explained to us, I'm going to ask a question that might not be politically correct. If the sun is never depleted, why are we using electricity?
Why are we using electricity?
Yes. The sun is never depleted. Right. So why are we using? We're in a tropical climate. This is Jamaica. We're not near the North Pole or anywhere like that, where they have limited sunlight at certain times of the year. We have sunlight essentially right across throughout the year. So why are we using electricity?
Well, electricity itself is produced by different sources. So,
what you mentioned, you mentioned renewables. We can never deplete the sun. The grid can go down, but the sun will always be shining.
Right, but electricity is not a renewable energy.
No, I'm fully with you there. So therefore, why are we not using the sun more so than that? For people to have solar panels now is like they're the exception almost still in Jamaica. But yet we're using so much electricity. Why are we not using more of the sunlight? Why are we paying what we're paying for electricity bills? We should be using the renewable sun.
The sun that we're using to produce our electricity.
No, Mr. Bright, you're not getting it. In other words, we should be just using the sun directly then, sir. Why are we not using the sun more directly? Why are we paying these bills?
So I understand. So there's a little rule of thumb where you might need maybe 4 to 5 acres of land per megawatt. Yeah. And so you have to remember now, you can't blanket the whole Jamaica with solar panels. You have to leave land for homes, land for agriculture, land for buildings and so on.
So you can have challenges. So you can have challenges with renewables then, because what you're essentially saying is that renewables exist, but there can be resource issues because you are pointing out that you can't blanket the entire country with solar panels if that's the only way to harness electricity.
Well, if we're saying renewables, then we will apportion in Jamaica as we do some sun, some wind, some hydro, some biomass.
Assuming, of course, that solar panels are the only way to harness energy from the sun, but
it's not the only way.
I did not think it was the only way. But maybe you can mention that in this discussion as we progress. Jason Robinson, I want to switch gears just a little bit, sir. Although you may have some comment to make in terms of what Mr. Barrett just said. Energy crisis. How can a country like Jamaica prevent an energy crisis, Mr. Robinson? Before we head to the break.
Well, I think diversification is key. You do want to have your grid being not reliant on just one or two aspects of fuel. We've gone to LNG. We have diversified into solar energy for the grid. We have gone into wind, and I think there's discussion of is nuclear energy an option for Jamaica, which will take a long-term feasibility study. But I think these small island states like Jamaica, we need to really look on diversification. But I think essentially what we need to look on, and where I come from my company's perspective, is that resiliency can be had more immediately while working on these long-term.
Mr. Robinson, hold that thought. Resiliency can be had. Hold that thought. Don't lose that train of thought, sir. viewers and listeners. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
No cash, no problem. Use Jamdex, Jamaica's central bank digital currency. The time by Jamdex is
7:15 a.m.
If your home internet is slow but your mobile isn't, it's time to make the switch to Flow. Now Jamaica's fastest mobile network with the best value. And the benefits begin right from the start. When you add postpaid mobile to your current internet plan, you get a $20,000 gift card just for signing up. For only $3,700 plus GCT per month, enjoy unlimited social media and YouTube. 80 gigabytes of NU's data plus unlimited anywhere local calls and texts. Make the switch to Flow today. This is Jamaica's network. Conditions apply.
Clean hands are good for your health. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, protecting your health includes a simple act: washing your hands. Use soap and safe water to remove dirt and germs after cleaning, before eating, and after using the toilet. If clean water is limited, use hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Remember, clean hands stop the spread of disease and help to keep families safe. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Score with Coca-Cola and live your World Cup dream. We're giving you the chance to experience the 2026 FIFA World Cup live. Just buy a 355 or 591 milliliter Coca-Cola with a gold or black cap. Find your code under the cap and WhatsApp it to 876-789-8020. Then follow the steps. From now till April 30th, every code brings you closer to incredible prizes and a trip you'll never forget. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is best experienced with Coca-Cola. Follow Coca-Cola Jamaica for updates. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We're in the first watch, and the topic is energy security in the Caribbean. Are we prepared? Our guests are Jason Robinson and David Barrett. Jason Robinson, just before the break, sir, you mentioned the word resiliency in terms of energy policy and ensuring that we do not have a crisis in a country like Jamaica. Continue, Mr. Robinson.
Yes, what I was saying is that, you have the bigger picture goals that the government is working on, diversifying from LNG, renewables, looking into nuclear. But I think we need to also look at what can we do immediately. Again, we just are coming off the heels of Hurricane Melissa and Beryl before that. We're around 6 months away from another hurricane season. If we want to prepare and have the country ready and be get resilient to be able to handle these superstorms that may be coming our way every year, we need to start looking at the banking sector, creative financing, to allow more people to be putting independent solar systems, rooftop solar systems on their homes, small businesses, so that families can be more resilient, and at the family level to be able to handle these prolonged blackouts, so that the entire country on a whole, at the family level, homes, businesses, can handle these storms while the government works on the longer term diversification.
Well, in terms of what you just said, would you argue that, well, by the way, the hurricane season is less than 6 months away. It starts, I think, formally on the 1st of June, I believe. But is Hurricane Melissa an example of what constitutes a crisis and maybe, or is it what had constituted a crisis and maybe a test of our energy resilience? Would you make that argument, Jason Robinson?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was a test of our resilience. It was one of the, if not the strongest storm on record. We saw what it did to the western part of the country. I mean, I had clients in Treasure Beach and Montego Bay who had to go through that, and luckily had power throughout. And the months after, when the grid was down, I'm still doing jobs in White House right now where there is no grid power. So being diverse and having a diverse grid, if there's no power on the grid, is not helping those families. We need to get resilient backup power to to as many homes as possible, financing solar in long-term mortgages, solar loans like the NHT is doing, but more banks need to have creative, faster term financing to let families and small businesses be more resilient so that the entire country can still move forward as the grid is down.
And when we say the grid, we mean the
electrical grid, the JPS grid.
That, okay, just to be clear. LNG, define that for us quickly, Mr. Robinson.
Liquid nitrogen, I think, David, you could give a much better definition than I could on this, please.
So, this is liquefied natural gas. Natural gas is a fossil fuel source.
Yeah.
And it's really mostly methane, but it has become one of the preferred options. Now, because it's a gas, it's hard to transport and utilize as a commodity.
As a gas, and as a gas, it is a renewable because it's a gas. I'm asking.
It's not. No, it's not a renewable. It's one of the fossil fuels, which is not a renewable.
It's being sold as a renewable.
Mr. Robinson was weighing in a while ago. What were you saying, Mr. Robinson?
It's marketed as a renewable.
That's why because I keep hearing about LNG as an alternative, so I just wondered. Anyway, continue, David Barr. But thank you for that bit of information. Continue, Mr. Barr.
Use the right word. It is an alternative, right?
Yeah.
And it's Jason laid out a nice horizon of alternatives that we should have. But it's an alternative that comes from a fossil source, right? Now, what they do in order to make it a widely used commodity is you compress it and you cool it. And that way the gas becomes a liquid.
Okay.
So now you can ship it in containers. You have a large volume, but it's because it's now a liquid form, you can transport a lot of it. When it comes on land or when it's transported through pipeline, then what they do is they regasify. So it goes then from liquid to gas, and then you can use that gas. I don't want anyone to be confused, but we talk about LPG. So the gas that you use for your stove is let's say akin to that, similar to that. So it goes from the natural gas, methane, as a liquid to its original gas form. And that's how the utility uses it to burn in generators to produce electricity. So it is one of the important alternatives, and it has helped renewables to transition into greater and greater volume, because the natural gas plants are able to follow the variation in renewables, particularly solar, in order to prevent the grid from having a lot of up and down in the voltages, up and down in your currents. So it's very important, but it is a fossil fuel, and as you use it, you have less of it left.
Explain. I'm sorry. Go. I didn't hear what you said, Mr. Barrett.
Would you mind if I chime in a little bit on the resilience?
Not a problem at all. Please go ahead.
Right. So you asked the question if the last hurricane was a lesson in resilience. And it's a lesson we shouldn't miss. So one of the things that we learned is that the central grid, when it goes down, can take down the whole country. And one of the things the government attempted to do to get certain parts of the country back up was to essentially initiate microgrids. So they got generators which were connected to one or two or three locations, so that those essential locations would come back up. And so what I'm now pointing to is what we call grid modernization or smart grid. And part of resilience is having a smarter grid, so that if a part of the grid goes down, the whole grid doesn't go down.
So when we mention a smart grid, are we talking about inclusion of the internet? I'm asking, I don't know.
Inclusion of the internet, inclusion of AI, inclusion of electronic signatures and programs that can shift power where you need it, when you need it. If you have one section down, it is smart enough and fast enough to move power to the places that need it versus the whole grid or a large portion going down.
And differentiate the smarter grid from the current one that most of us are familiar with.
So currently, we do have smart elements in the grid. So for example, your electricity meter is now able, you don't see readers coming to your house anymore, because those meters are able to determine the power you're using, or if you have solar, for example, and you're putting power back into the grid, it can read that. It goes straight to headquarters, and they can determine that. If they need to disconnect your power because they have been a bad citizen, they can do it right from their
No, Mr. Barrett, no. The person lost their job and they missed a payment.
I accept that, sir.
No, do not mischaracterize good Jamaican people. Continue, Mr. Barrett.
I accept that. And so we have variations that that's not very valid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No broad brushing here on the Morning Watch.
So for whatever reason, and then so that person now gets their finances back together, and JPS can reconnect you from their desk.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Understood.
So that's part of it. But also another part of it is having, for example, light, which instead of light being switched on per se, you have photo cells which can determine the system to come on or off. And then one other thing is, for example, if there are, let's say, electrical issues somewhere on a grid in a substation, the system is able to read that, protect itself, and quickly adjust and amend the sources of energy. So we have elements of that smart grid. What we don't have are, for example, microgrids, which would be small generation sources within that larger central system, which can feed into areas immediately surrounding, that small generator, and also feeding into the larger central grid. So that's something that we need to evolve to. And then also having these different sources, wind, solar, hydro, all of them being able to link seamlessly into the large grid, and additionally to have, for example, batteries as a part of that resilience, which can sense and read the power going out, coming in, and determine whether it will deliver power to the grid or not. So all of, and there are other elements, but in general.
Hopefully all of this will result in lower bills. That's what most people want to hear, lower bills. Anyway.
Yes, it can.
Before we wrap today, either of you gentlemen, maybe starting with you, Mr. Robinson, and closing with you, Mr. Barrett, can CARICOM create a regional fuel security framework, one that will, let's go down to the country level. How can Jamaica, for example, ensure that it has a good fuel security framework? Starting with you, maybe Mr. Robinson.
Well, I think that as we've been discussing, focusing on finding and diversifying the different energy supplies that we're going to put in for the country, but feeding on what David mentioned with the smart grid, etc. Even though the grid is going to be smart and certain sections would still go down, I'm still coming from it from an individual and a homeowner's perspective, that most people here, they have a cash flow problem, and we need to have the financing in place so that even if this section of a smart grid does go down, mention
lower bills, Mr. Robinson.
Even if the section of a smart grid goes down, yes, but even if the section of a smart grid goes down, your home should be able to stand alone with power.
Yes,
and that's what we need to do. And the more we have that, the more resilient the entire country will be.
Have to leave it there for Mr. Robinson. A couple seconds, Mr. Barrett, maybe 30 seconds. Any word you want to leave with us?
So regionally, CARICOM, I would say we need to revisit regional partnerships. We had a Petrocaribe, for example, that gave us lower fuel costs. We have the Treaty of Chaguaramas, which allowed us to get certain prices from Trinidad. If things work out with Venezuela and they get their energy system back up, perhaps we need to start looking at that again. Trinidad and Venezuela also share a gas field. Perhaps we could get lower costs. But having those arrangements and also sharing technology and information.
I'm getting a signal, Mr. Barrett, but I think we're hearing you loud and clear. But I want to thank the both of you gentlemen for this very important conversation this morning on the Morning Watch, in this first watch. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, listeners and viewers. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch. Right back.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
This is Flow, Jamaica's fastest mobile network, as verified by Ookla. It's the result of a complete network rebuild, with more power backup to reduce outages and satellite backup for greater mobile stability. You can even make regular calls using Wi-Fi. Welcome to our new era of connectivity, and we're not stopping there. This is Flow, Jamaica's network.
Persons with disabilities and their caregivers. Register on I Am Able, My JCPD, the official digital platform of the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Created in partnership with UNICEF, the online platform makes it easy for you to connect to information, programs, and support. Sign up today at jcpd.gov.jm/IamAble or call the JCPD Help Desk at 876-447-0444 for assistance. The Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities, educating, advocating, empowering.
Jamaica Central Bank digital currency is now here. Jamdex, no cash, no problem. Step into a future of ease, convenience, and security. Conduct business with your mobile device instantly and without fees. This is how life should be with Jamdex. You catch it free. Jamdex are the real free. Use it to buy your mobile TV. You can buy your shoes at 3Ps. The Central Bank digital currency. No cash, no problem. Jamdex, backed by the Bank of Jamaica.
Hey, my peeps, get this on the regular. Your HIV status if you consider. At least if a test once a year. Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Cause it might not show up on your timeline and you learn too late, so you're out of time. A progressive future, mandatory. Really long life, our story.
Yeah. Remember, update your status in a real life. Go HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes and your status clear. Really long life, our story. Real long life for say youth, coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Jamaica Observer, among the many stories, this one here, very concerning and sad state of affairs we have here in Jamaica. Manhunt for 3-year-old boys' killers. Police, Member of Parliament vow pursue. I think it meant to read vow to pursue those responsible for Jace Pinnock's murder. Very, very sad story indeed. And we have here also in the Jamaica Observer this story by Alicia Dunkley Willis. I can't recall. Defense grills cop witness over inconsistencies in ongoing Clans trial. We turn now to the Gleaner. A top story here. Campbell Hills Roofs Grant urges stronger housing in Westmoreland Eastern. And Campbell referring to Dr. Dayton Campbell, the Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Eastern. And we look at the same story referred to, similar details in terms of the topic. The headline here is Grief Doubles, as was referred to in the Observer, that whole matter of trying to, as it were, manhunt for 3-year-old boys' killers. So we have here in the Observer, grief doubles. Children mourned openly at the Edward Seaga Infant School in Kingston on Monday following the death of 3-year-old student, the same child, Jace Pinnock, who was murdered in Denham Town last Saturday. And the story continues. Condolences not only to his immediate family, but to the wider community that they have all been clearly impacted by this very tragic and horrific incident. Those and many other stories in our various newspapers. Coming up next, we will read for you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, how prepared are you in case Jamaica was to experience or were to experience an energy crisis? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses in our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Stepping confidently into a new year starts with one simple, powerful word. Yes! Say yes to new beginnings. Say yes to a secure future. Say yes to living the life you love with your family. With health and life insurance from Sagicor Life, we're here to give you the protection and peace of mind you deserve in 2026. All you have to do is say yes to what matters most. Call 888 Sagicor to speak with an advisor today.
Following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, Jamaicans are urged to take precautions to prevent leptospirosis, a disease spread through contact with water, soil, or food contaminated by the urine of infected animals. Remember, avoid swimming, wading, or playing in floodwaters or any water that may have resulted from flooding. Avoid consuming food that may have been contaminated with floodwater or animal urine. Wear protective clothing and footwear when working or walking in areas that may be contaminated. And visit the nearest health center immediately if you experience fever, chills, muscle pain, or other flu-like symptoms. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We move right into the second watch. Our topic is the Cyber Crimes Amendment Act, and we have as our guest, well, at least for the moment, attorney at law, privacy practitioner, founder of Design Privacy, Chuck Cameron. Mr. Chuck Cameron, good morning.
Morning, Sir Stokeley and your listeners. How are you doing?
We are well, we are fine, and we really want to hear from you, sir, because there is a proposed amendment to the Cyber Crimes Act. Is it that it is not enforced yet, sir?
I cannot answer that question. I don't think it has gone through the final reading and assented to as yet, but yeah. I'm not 100% certain. However, I don't think it has been assented to as yet.
I saw where it is. Well, my information is that it's still a bill. I haven't seen where it has been passed fully in terms of, well, I shouldn't say that word. It's not law yet as far as I'm aware. But having said what we just said, sir, I would like you, if you could help us to understand what is this amendment about, and the focus on children, it would appear, and some changes in terms of the images being referred to as now being included in terms of what are now offenses in terms of this Cyber Crimes Act. Would you like to give us a little assistance there, Mr. Cameron?
Yes, I am going to start with a bias of mine. The most significant amendment in my eyes was the requirement of the Commissioner of Police to implement a mandatory code of standard procedures for digital searches. Prior to now, the police have been, well, we need to acknowledge how much information is stored on your phone about your private personal life, and not only about you, the individual, but other persons with whom you interact. Prior to this amendment, the police, and this came out in the Leon Amoy Issa matter, the police, there was no guidelines as to how to go about conducting a digital search. And unfortunately, our constitutional court did not address the issue in the Amoylian case. So I'm glad that Parliament and the police force has now put controls and measures in place that actually protect Jamaican citizens by mandating that there is a fixed process to follow when conducting a digital search. The other
Well,
amendment,
Mr.
yes,
Cameron, I know I'm stopping you midstream almost, but can you help us to define some terms? What would you say is a digital search?
basically when they want to go on your phone and search whatever may be, whatever exists on your phone. So
Yes.
go through your text messages, your WhatsApp messages, your call logs, whatever social media app that you have available on your phone. And
And
that
there, you will have videos as well and pictures on your phone, I suppose. Yeah.
correct of yourself and other persons.
Yeah.
So
So
in no
the
uncertain
guidelines are in a sense trying to do what?
sir, well, first, if
Yes.
it is you are going to engage in such a search, you
Yes.
are restricting someone's right to informational privacy. That's the first thing we need to acknowledge, even if it is a lawful search. And that is a valuable, searching one's phone does provide valuable intelligence or investigator material for police. But
Okay.
in no uncertain terms, it does restrict your right. By mandating a code that must be followed, you can now restrict someone's right in accordance with the law. Because if it is done outside of a law, it is unconstitutional. So by just
So as to try to sort of get to the point as quickly as I can, because of course you never have enough time on morning watch. In other words, the police now have more access to search your phone digitally,
not more
unless
access because before they just took your phone and they could do anything with it.
right. So
No,
what
it
is the
must be done
guideline
in
in
a
place now? So what are the guardrails that the police have to abide by?
well, the requirement is that the commissioner is to implement a mandatory code of standard. I don't know that that has been done as yet.
I see. So we okay. I understand. All right, but that is supposed to be done.
Yes,
A
sir.
mandatory code of conduct is to be implemented.
And that's set out in the bill.
I'm just kind of wondering though, do you know of any other countries that may have such a thing? Because typically we tend to we don't always reinvent the wheel. Sometimes we look to what other countries have. You have any sort of?
So there, even if you look at the pace, I don't remember what that stands for, coming out of the UK, it does set out how you treat with digital searches. So it's
Okay.
not foreign to other countries across the world.
Understood. Continue, Mr. Cameron. What are the other major changes, if any? You did mention the one that you appear to be a little bit more interested in, but what are some of the other issues that are now coming out in this Amendment Act?
So there was an attempt, well, they did criminalize the whole question of AI generated images that negatively impact someone. I would want to suggest, on my reading of the previous act, that that is not such a big improvement. It does lend more clarity to
Yeah.
prosecutors or investigators, but that may not really have made a substantial difference. What
Okay.
makes a substantial difference is what I refer to as a super penalty, of where if someone is found sharing images of a child, they are now exposed to criminal sanction of up to 20 years.
Yes.
So
I did see that as well.
that's the most significant one. Apart from that, they have opened the purview or opened the exposure of individuals. Prior to the amendment, you had to share malicious material with an individual for that person, for it to be actionable. And when I say actionable, for it to be considered a crime that can be prosecuted. No, the legislation moves it from sending directly to a person and has expanded it to publishing, which includes posting, disseminating, or providing access to. So that is a substantial improvement in my
Mr.
mind.
Cameron, only because of time. Hold that thought for a second. Don't lose that train of thought, please, sir. Listeners and viewers, we'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your day informed, alert, and ahead of the curve. Join us at 6:30 a.m. for the latest breaking news, weather updates, and everything you need to know. Clear, concise, connected. It's your morning news right here on Love 101 FM, the family station. On Mondays, the morning news is brought to you by the Ministry of National Security Live Good Anti-Violence Campaign.
If your home internet is slow but your mobile isn't, it's time to make the switch to Flow. Now Jamaica's fastest mobile network with the best value. And the benefits begin right from the start. When you add postpaid mobile to your current internet plan, you get a $20,000 gift card just for signing up. For only $3,700 plus GCT per month, enjoy unlimited social media and YouTube, 80 gigabytes of NU's data plus unlimited anywhere local calls and texts. Make the switch to Flow today. This is Jamaica's network. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We're looking at the Cybercrimes Amendment Act and our guest, Chuck Cameron, attorney, privacy practitioner, founder, design, privacy. We may have another guest joining us in a few, but until then, Mr. Cameron, please continue what you were indicating to us or saying to us just before the break, sir. Please continue, sir.
Right, so I was speaking about sending of harmful content as opposed to publishing harmful content. That does lend, that is more in line with what happens and how persons may suffer harm. So that is very forward thinking. There is one area of concern, and that is now where the legislation places a onus on owners or managers of property who knowingly permit their premises to be used for cybercrime.
Okay.
That does, the question must be asked, how are owners and managers of property that have Wi-Fi or any other internet connection now, must they be required to put in place management systems that monitor what activities are carried out by
Yes.
their
In other words,
users?
you could have a particular location. It might be a commercial establishment, and they say free Wi-Fi, and you don't know that this location that you own, that you're making money from, maybe you're selling coffee or you're selling sandwiches or whatever it is you're doing. You don't know that people are coming there to use your premises, including your Wi-Fi, to have these images transmitted. Is that the correct term, Mr. Cameron?
Yes, yeah, it works.
Oh dear. I see what you're saying, sir. I see what you're saying, sir. So is it that you need to, I mean, what recommendations, if any, do you have to that business operator? Because the free Wi-Fi might be what draws many good, honest, law-abiding citizens to the establishment.
Well, that is part of the engine that drives productivity in the digital age. So I don't want it to have a chilling effect on business operators. In other words, I would hate to think that business owners will now not provide Wi-Fi services. The reality is,
And let's take it even further, Mr. Cameron. You could have staff working in your business, and maybe just as a way to, you know, I won't call it a benefit, but maybe the staff member would appreciate having access to the Wi-Fi password or passcode in the company or the business so that they can interact with family and friends while they're at work if they need to from time to time, maybe in an emergency situation. But you don't know which staff member might be using your premises to, as it were, transmit data which they ought not to be transmitting, which would be a violation of the Cybercrimes Amendment Act. That's another concern, Mr. Cameron. You agree or disagree?
I do agree. But the legislation does say that they have to knowingly do so. The challenge with knowingly.
Yes, but you see, by the time you're a business place or you get an attorney to prove that you did not knowingly engage in such, a lot of time and money is spent.
That is the issue. So I would prefer if that were to be taken out of the legislation. The question we have to ask ourselves is what problem does that solve? And is that this does putting that onus on the owner protect persons anymore? So you must weigh the objective. So I'm not in favor of that specific amendment.
Mr. Cameron, only because of time, and we now have another guest joining us. Sir, if I could we're going to return to you, Mr. Cameron, to get some additional thoughts. But Christopher Record, you're with us, sir, CEO T-Tech, head of the National AI Task Force. Christopher Record, good morning, sir.
Morning. Quick correction. I left T-Tech in 2022.
Oh, dear God. Why do we have this here? I will remove it forthwith. So you're the head of the National AI Task Force.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Morning.
so I will try to endeavor to, if we interview you again, and you're a regular visitor guest with us, sir, on the Morning Watch, that we don't make that error again, sir.
Thank you for having me.
My humble apologies, our humble apologies on behalf of Love 101 FM. Mr. Record, the amendments to the Cybercrimes Act, your thoughts on it? I don't know if you heard anything that was said while you were not on the platform, sir. Your thoughts, and do you think it's a forward-moving initiative? Is there anything you would like to be changed or corrected, although the amendment is before us?
Well, I think the changes with respect to children is massively important. As a parent of two daughters, I would not like to see or hear any situations that would have have anybody transmitting any images or attacking any of my children online. So I'm happy for that amendment. With respect to some of the other word changes that happened, changing the word send to publish, I think these things are us catching up because the technology out there globally is changing exponentially as we speak. As we all see, in the age of AI, a lot of things are happening that we can't explain. Most people can't explain, few can. And so the laws have to be broadened to capture what can take place using artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence technologies. And so I do welcome the majority of the changes. I did hear the last part when Chuck Cameron expressed concern around one specific area. As I was listening to it, I thought to myself, as a cybersecurity professional, there are cybersecurity tools that you, as a establishment owner, which I am, and I do offer Wi-Fi in my organization, we have to put in. So the instant that we see a certain pattern of transmission happening, it is shut down immediately. But yes, I do understand the concern.
But Mr. Record, you are an expert, can I say expert in this field? Many business operators, they're just offering the free Wi-Fi, and they're assuming people are people of good faith. They may not have an IT person on hand to monitor these things the way that you are able to, sir, or maybe you have employed persons to do that for you. Any words of caution for them?
So this is something that myself and all of my colleagues, include my friend and colleague Chuck, we have been out there in the industry talking about for, let's call it the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
we're begging and beseeching business people to become a little bit more aware, a little bit more au fait with the technologies that they're using. There are too many situations happening right now where folks are being caught off guard, let me use that term, when some of these bad things happen to them. I mean, just yesterday, I received an email from a prominent Caribbean organization.
Yes.
And when I first saw it, at the instant I saw the email, I said something was wrong with it. Why? Because I myself, and it's not because I'm not expert, but I have actually gone through the cybersecurity awareness trainings over and over again. Now, the fact of the matter is that the instant I saw the message, I knew something was wrong. I responded to the people to say, you guys have sent out this message, please check it. And within about an hour, there was an apology email sent out. There was this big brouhaha, PR type campaign. All of a sudden, it looked like the PR people got involved to now apologize for the message. The fact of the matter is that most small, medium-sized business, and so I say it unapologetically, they are not taking cybersecurity seriously, and then therefore, when a cyber crime is committed against them or with them unintentionally being involved in it, there's a shock, there's a surprise, there's a oh no, what happened here? So cybersecurity is a continuous topic we need to be talking about. We on this station have spoken about it several times before, and so when these various crimes will happen, which includes us and our.
Well, Mr. Record, a part of what you can help to do is to raise awareness. I think some of these small and medium-sized operators, they're so consumed with wanting to ensure that their businesses are making the money for them that those businesses need to make for them, that they might be inadvertently not paying enough attention. I don't know if we need to come down on them with such a heavy hammer, but
a number of us have been trying. A number of us have been out there. A lot of us who are
to raise the awareness.
Cybersecurity groups who have been talking about it. Every stage that we're invited to, we go on and we beg and beseech. And one of the basic things we always say to everyone is try to include some sort of cybersecurity awareness training in the organization. But don't want to digress too far because
that's fine.
Crime, and to the cyber crime bills, we're talking about these specific crimes. And one of the things that I'm not too sure if you did is look back at the original bill, because what we are talking about is the amendment.
Yes, well, I did look at the original one, but I mean, never enough time on the morning watch. But you want to make a comment on it, sir?
No, I was just saying that when you look back at the bill, which I did yesterday when I was called, it reminded me that all of these things need to be. We need to remind our audiences. We need to remind the various target markets, whether it's small, medium-sized business, whether it's corporate. We need to keep reminding them that the technologies now allow some of these bad things to happen. And so, yes, this amendment widens and broadens and throw a little bit of umbrella over some of the areas. And I'm okay with it. I have no major changes. I see from the readings that was supported by the opposition, which is great. So I support the amendment, sir.
I see, before we wrap today, any comments any of you might have in terms of how does the law treat with intimate images and why was that included? We might only have a couple seconds. Mr. Record and then Mr. Cameron before we wrap. Mr. Record.
Well, very quickly, I support the fact that they have, again, changed the wordings to allow a broader definition of instead of just sending, they change the word to publishing. Okay. Which now covers a broader area of how these images sometimes are put out there. So I support that, and I want Chuck as the attorney to weigh in.
Mr. Cameron, before we wrap, sir.
So there were the prosecutors were hesitant to prosecute given how it was previously defined. It was sufficient, but it was just too wide and didn't give prosecutors enough certainty. I would want to part, however, on the government now has an onus to launch a massive awareness campaign, because it cannot be you have children not knowing any better sharing images and being exposed to 20 years behind bars. So
That's
consistent with
probably
this,
another.
there must be a massive awareness campaign. And unless that awareness campaign has been financed and planned,
Heard
we
you
need to
loud
be
and
very
clear, Mr.
cautious.
Cameron. That must be done because, yes, indeed, they need to be aware of that. Thank you, Mr. Cameron, and thank you, Mr. Record. Mr. Record, so sorry we didn't get to have you on until later on in the program, but thank you for your
No problem.
contributions nonetheless. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, listeners and viewers, for being with us today. Visit the Love 101 FM channel and YouTube channel and also Facebook page for this on all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, listen to the Morning Watch on our Love 101 app and stay connected to us. Download the app and stay connected to us. Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer Kathy Gale and to our guests. Join me again tomorrow as I continue to look at the issues of the day. I am Stokeley Marshall, hanging back, Love in the Morning with Drakal.